own survival, irrespective of any political implications. Let's move on. Gerald Celente says terror attacks and the crash of 2010, 40% devaluation at first, the Greatest Depression, worse than the Great Depression. Let's go to Igor Panarin. Igor Panarin says in the summer of 2010, the United States will disintegrate into 6 parts. Now, we're only a month away from that. I don't think this is going to happen that quickly. In fact, I pray it won't. But these are projections he made many years ago, in fact, in the summer of 1998. And as recent as last year, he reiterated his prediction that by the summer of 2010, we would be moving towards some sort of a breakup of our union. We have others as well. Joseph Meyer, he sees the real estate market continuing to decline and advised people to invest in precious metals and commodities, as well as keeping cash at home in a safe place in case of bank closures. We've got Richard Russell. Back in February of 2010, he said the following: the bear market rally is in the process of breaking up and panic is on the way. He sees a full correction of the entire rise from the 2002 low of 7,000 to the bull market high of 14,000 set on October 9, 2007. He now sees the Dow falling to 7,000. If that level does not hold, he says, and I quote, I see it sinking to its 1980 to 1982 area low of Dow 1000. It's a long report, so I'm doing my best to sum it up. Peter Schiff, we've got him. We've got Lindsey Williams. He predicts a devaluation of the dollar by the end of the year. Lindsey Williams, he talks about a 30 to 50% devaluation of the dollar. Now, Lindsey claims that he has connections with insiders in the oil industry, and he made a projection a couple years ago saying that oil would go down, I believe it was under 70 or 80 a barrel. He was correct on his projection. Many people were expecting oil to go up. I'm talking about back when it was $4 a gallon. No one was expecting oil to go down to, I believe, Mike, was it about 50 or 60? After it went up to $4 a gallon, it went down to about, exactly. Who would have predicted that? Only the guy that had inside information. So pay attention to what Lindsey Williams is saying. Pay attention to those individuals that have been predicting correctly what have we seen in the last couple of years. We have George Uri. Markets up until mid to late summer, then all hell breaks loose from then on through the rest of the year. So what did you see a couple weeks ago when you heard about the Dow dropping? It went down 999 points. Well, that reminds me of 2008 when the front page of the Oregonian says negative 777. Looks like some bankster gangster just got their jackpot. And so it is obvious to me that our economy is manipulated. It is obvious to me that our economy and our stock market is controlled. Here's the point before we move on. Disconnect yourself and your feeling of worth or lack of worth from how much Federal Reserve notes you have in your goddamn pocket. Because as long as you're connected like a crack whore, like to crack to this Federal Reserve, I don't even have any Federal Reserve notes to show you. Wait, there's got to be one back here. But burn one and be happy burning one, because this whole system is shot. And as long as we're hooked like a junkie to this particular system, we're going to be in pain. We've got to think in our own mind's eye of how we're going to be able to work together and develop some sort of a bartering system or a local currency. And I am all about being civically active and going down to city council and requesting that they have some sort of a contingency plan to deal with very hard economic times. The problem is the city of Portland doesn't have one. They've got Homeland Security. They've got the federal government giving Oregon and Portland millions of dollars to hold the system up. Federal stimulus funds for this and that, everything's fine. A long line of cocaine for everybody to snort and just have a great old time. Party like it's 1929. Don't worry about jack squat. Just drink your Kool-Aid and like it. And the fact of the matter is, down at City Hall, they're not looking after your best interest. In fact, I had just heard that sewer rates are going up 12%, water rates are going up 6%. They're going to add some sort of a new fee where they charge you $30 to clean up some leaves outside your house if you've got big trees in your neighborhood. Now, even if you are cleaning up the leaves outside your house, they're still going to charge you the $30 fee. PGE is going to announce their rate increase in July. I don't know what date, but sometime in July. So the reality is you're not being represented at City Hall. This is not a surprise. Sam Adams did say that because only 4 people showed up, this is key here, because only 4 people showed up to protest the rate increase hike, we're going to go ahead and vote this in 5-0. All 5 members of City Council voted to increase rates on your utilities because the people of Portland didn't say a word, which raises even more questions. What's going on with us here in Portland? Why aren't there more people going and sign up for their 3 minutes at City Hall, using your voice as your ultimate primary weapon of choice? What the F is going on with your cerebral cortex? These are the things that keep me up in the dark of night. Why is there just a lack of action on the part of the local populace? But this is not just about Portland. We're just a microcosm for what the whole nation, some could argue the world, is going through. Struggling against apathy in a world where so many people think they have no ability to affect real change, when actually the opposite is true. We're more powerful than what most of us are fully aware of. So we covered the economy, we covered the oil spill. Now we're going to go into something else. Long-term viewers of the show are familiar with my reports on solar flares and geomagnetic storms and their correlation to earthquakes, their correlation to volcanic eruptions in graphic number 17. Geomagnetic storm in effect. Ecuador and Guatemala are having volcanoes erupting in that area. This is from Mitch Barrows of earthchangesmedia.com. He provided this graphic here. You see here where the red is, that's the peak there of the geomagnetic storms. And as I've said in the past on the show, there are links you can Google and find the studies that link deep dream states, lucid states of dreaming, to major fluctuations in our planet's magnetic field. The report reads that the geomagnetic field is experiencing a moderate storm and is expected to remain active until May 31st. This is due to a recurrent coronal whole high-speed stream, or coronal mass ejection, CME. So you have 2 volcanoes erupting there, a state of emergency being declared, people being evacuated, and many other things. So we have the BP situation, we have the projections for the economy, and we have weird geomagnetic storms. It's a very, very interesting, exciting. Some could be afraid, some are excited. I'm more or less excited about the future because a lot of possibility for change does exist in our world now that we know that there's so much shakeup. Now that we know that we are not in Kansas any longer. We're not in the same world that we used to be in. Now, North Korea is in the news big time, and other things are in the news big time, as well as China and South Korea. And so we're going to talk about some of those reports now. The thing that, phone calls.
Well, it got disconnected. They want to know if the Gulf spill was deliberate or an accident.
They want to know whether the Gulf spill was deliberate or accident. Well, that's a caller that called in and just asked the question off air. You know, I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm going to decline from saying what did happen because, again, I don't have a crystal ball. And I don't think it would be right to say this is what happened. I believe it was deliberate. There are some that believe it was accidental. But the question is, what is this going to do to oil prices? What is this going to do to our economy? I mean, it's coming at a time where we owe China so much money. And there is definitely a lot of other things going on as well. And so I think we would all be a little bit more relieved if this was an accident. Like a lot of things in the world, an accident, a real genuine act of terror, a real genuine, I mean, not staged events, because that's freaky. I mean, that's like, what are they doing here? And why would they go to such great lengths to control our population, to control our country? Great lengths such as polluting our ecosystem. I mean, you don't know very much about this government or whatever force of darkness is controlling this government that we choose to call the U.S. Corporation, United States of America. It is a corporation that's actually already gone bankrupt. We're just borrowing money from the red Chinese to keep the lights on, including the lights on in this studio. And so what's going to happen from here on out is going to be very, very interesting, but I don't know the truth about what's really going on. I only have my suspicions. Okay, the clock is moving quick. We've got phone calls. Let's go ahead and take that phone call, and then we'll get into the news with North Korea. Go ahead, caller.